Today, I'm going to be answering questions about a more difficult side of cystitis, urinary infections, water infections, UTIs, interstitial cystitis. So if you think you've got that or you've been told you've got that, tune in, please. So I'm asked, what does interstitial cystitis mean? I see interstitial cystitis. So let's take each section of the words. Inter means between. Stitial, layers. Interstitial cystitis. Cyst means bladder or sac. Itis means inflammation or infection. And that's all an old Greek word. So it's basically between the layers of the bladder, inflammation and or infection. And IC gets into the bladder walls. So Angela, have I really got interstitial cystitis? How do I know that? Well, it's possible that your doctor, for instance, has just got fed up with you coming in with lots of UTIs, urinary infections, and thinks to get rid of you because you're a real pain in the what's it, he's going to tell you you've got an illness, and then he's going to tell you there's nothing he can do about it and you're on your own. And I'm afraid a lot of doctors do that. There are symptoms of real IC, which we will talk about in a minute. In my book, The Patient's Encyclopedia, there is a big section on interstitial cystitis, and it gives the symptoms, but I'm going to run through them for you now. There's one main one. The main one is that you have unremitting pain, 24 hours a day, no breaks. It might go up a bit, it might come down a bit, but there is unremitting pain and distress. Then, of course, you've got frequency. Of course, you've got all the social problems. You can't go to work. You can't go out. You think you've got a plain, straightforward cystitis or urinary infection, but you haven't. You may have all their symptoms, but you've got this one major one, unremitting pain and distress. 24 hours a day, non-stop. That is true interstitial cystitis. By now, you'll be seeing a urologist, somebody who deals with urine, bladders and kidneys. But your urologist will know from your case history, which he'll have taken, and his notes, that you have got big trouble down below. His job, therefore, is to look inside. He's going to do a cystoscopy, and he's going to look with a flexible cystoscope inside your bladder. What he must be looking for additional to ordinary infections is granulation, reddened areas, and a big level of redness and soreness. But the granulation is what he's really looking for. He may even be looking for ulceration as well. If he doesn't find any of this, he should tell you that you don't have real interstitial cystitis. But there you go. What they see and what they tell you is not necessarily the same thing, is it? If you've been diagnosed with IC properly and you've got granulation and redness and maybe even ulceration and you're getting UTI flares, I'm afraid that means to me that there's very little, if any, proper hygiene going on. You should not be getting UTI flares if you've got good hygiene. You will be preventing them. And my book shows you constantly how to do the bottle wash once, twice, 3 times a day, depending whether you've passed a stool, you've had diarrhea, you've had sex, or you probably won't be having sex with all this going on. So you really need to understand the hygiene from my book. I'd recommend getting it. And then I'd recommend you read the section on True IC very carefully.